with them alongside.
Yeah, they're out there networking as an example. They're teaming up opportunities. They are joining Jenny's club. She's joining Chris's club. She's joining Lee's club. She's joining Angie's club. She's helping them sell, helping them close things. She's coaching. That's so, yeah, she's selling. Is she
But doesn't have
selling her own pipeline? I don't think so. But should she actively be creating a pipeline to empower the team? I don't know.
how much
Is she cold calling herself?
How much you talked about like your goal and such? Like, will she be asking me questions of like?
She came in, so in her email she said she's coming in.
Yeah, that's it.
Having talked about we connected saw fascination.
Did you eat breakfast?
Yes, I did.
I was gonna say we have stuff up there if you want to eat.
Yes, thank you though.
But once we reached out, she saw us.
Yeah.
It's got something to work. Guys.
Yeah.
All the baby. So that even in our conversation.
Got it. So yes, no.
Fair. I never eat breakfast. I never have time.
I love breakfast.
See, surprisingly, I'm not really a breakfast person, but I love breakfast.
Makes sense. Yeah, bagels are great.
Shall we start in August?
Yes.
Okay, August 7th. Excited.
I know.
Maybe a new BD person has to figure that out.
Did you graduate in May?
Yeah, I did.
So it's been a busy
So-
summer. I've had
Really things to do, yeah. And then moving too. It's so. And then I got here. I moved in on Friday.
Okay.
At least it's right before I went walking into my apartment.
Oh my god.
I was just like, I'm so dressed. I just stopped at my car and just like waiting outside. It was a little bit. I'm from a small town of like less than 5,000 people originally.
Yeah.
So even going to college was a culture shock.
Chicago, it's big, but it don't feel small.
Yeah.
I don't feel small, but like, granted, I went to University of Iowa, so I don't know about like a really big school, but it's like everywhere was people at the same.
That's how
Chicago.
Chicago. So, yeah. So I think we'll love it. And a lot of professors who like
Like, why not right now? At this point in your life.
I need to do it now, but I was just there.
Oh my god. Yeah. I love it. No. Did at least my IDs do that. So you also get a little overview on your first day. This is our ETO, so it basically says where we are, where we're heading, big picture. Okay, sure. So we'll go over, this is brand new, so I haven't seen it. On one side is vision, so this will talk about our core values, right? This doesn't change too much, sometimes it does, like our core values. But that'll go in there. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yes. So yeah, similar stuff. Our 3-year picture, 10-year, and then on the other side is like our rock. So like where we're at. So like, this will be explained in depth today. Okay. Yeah. And then the big sheets and accountability charts, which just shows where you are and where everyone else is, and how it kind of like each team, each person has a purpose or like rise effective and that's who's effective in that. I know I'm this like that. Yeah, it's pretty easy. It's great. Straightforward. Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Always. Oh, you said. I do too. What grade was this? Always. Wow. That's the best. Well, we gotta plan our teenies reunion. I am so ready. I'm happy to Cubs game. That'd be fun. Like, I'm gonna come down. I ain't down to fun. I feel like Tim's got a big split still. What? Tim's for sure got space. Yeah. That's what we did. Yeah, Tim. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure it's in the same spot. Down. So we can sit. The best person to fill Trying to do I get that. I always hear this like I think it's so dark. Yeah. It's like it's hard. Yeah. I'm sure. I graduated last May, and then I worked at a logistics company. Okay. Logistics, like I hated the job I was selling. Yeah. So, I got reached out to LinkedIn. I knew I was going to do this for you already. Yeah. I lived in Cole. We worked at the same bar in college. Yeah. Oh, that's so exciting. Yeah. So it was so funny. Like, yeah, the conversations that makes sense. That's you feel like
I feel like this will
But I love the way I'm
no, I wasn't doing this. That's why this is.
Oh, man.
Alright.
And then this you making coffee.
Yeah, right? That was the first thing I did this morning. Yeah, we got the ultrasound. We're not good. So, not what you think. Yeah. Yeah, so in this weekend, was for family. For dad, stepmom, her mom knows, my mom, dad know. And then we try to keep the secret by feeding her sparkling grape juice all weekend, so nobody knows she's drinking white wine. Yeah. Yeah.
Crunched it.
Tend to be drunk up with places, right?
My brother-in-law's pregnant. He saw that. They had the first test, so super early.
Right afterwards.
I like that.
What's the apartment?
I'm very
How do we know who's supposed to respect people in there?
So far, so excited. So, I don't remember some of this weird, you probably like, but the documentation, we're gonna talk about that. Yeah, so awesome. So these are core values. Business side, like, visual side, we're headed, visually, business side, really, yeah. The business side, every quarter, yeah. Okay. This picture is it's just weird that you know
I have this playlist on Spotify to listen to. And it's like I'm so older, like I have like my throwback song.
that's what I feel like that. Oh my god.
I remember I was like, there's no way.
Love it.
And I was like, fair. You like everything. It's cool that you're here too because it's clear, so yeah.
Am I still a senior? So it's like senior. Okay, we have to So Trevor sent me this text a year ago, and I loved it. I'm watching.
Oh, I love it. So cute.
Oh my god. But she's so cute. Like those shit off my.
All right, we're gonna get started. Thank you guys for coming. Good morning and welcome to our Q3 Rock Rollout event. My name is Mark Jerby. I'm the Vice President of Strategy and Operations at Guerrero Media. For those of you who are attending this for the first time, I think is a fair amount of you. Rock Rollout events are a time for us to come together as a company and to align on what we've done and also, or more importantly, the months to come. We have these every quarter. I don't know if I said that. But this morning, we're going to celebrate our wins from last quarter. We're going to look at a couple of wounds. We didn't succeed in everything that we tried to do last quarter. We never do. And then we're going to regroup and focus on the opportunities ahead of us. Q3 is a unique event in that it's the halfway point, right? 6 months earlier, we came together and we said, this is what we want to do for the year. And they were all good intentions. They were very planned out, and a lot of it is still relevant. But we're also at the point where 6 months from now, the year is over. And so we're at sort of an inflection or a pivot point, if you will, when we come into Q3. And it's up to us to take a step back, which we did a couple of weeks ago. We as a leadership team came over here for a couple of days, and we took a step back. We said, this is what we wanted to do, and this is where we're at. And these are the new opportunities and the new challenges ahead of us for the rest of the year. And so what do we need to do? There's options. Obviously, we can stay the course, keep going. We could scrap everything and start over, right? Or we could choose something in the middle. And throughout this presentation, what we've decided and what we're going to do for the next 6 months will become more and more apparent. But first, let's take a look at the agenda. No Rock Rollout, like I said, is complete without a look back. And so that's where we start, right? We review the last quarter. So Dave's going to walk us through our financial results. And he's going to touch on some highlights that are outside of our rocks. So some really cool stuff that we did, really cool opportunities we tackled, challenges that we overcame, and some people that helped us do that. And then Jacqueline, or Kyle rather, is going to walk us through the work that we did specifically around our company rocks for Q2. Some things that we accomplished, some work yet to be done, and what that means for all of us. And then Jacqueline is going to get personal with us and recognize the individuals in this room or with us electronically that really stood up and did exceptional work last quarter. So this is outstanding work aligned with our core values. And then we're going to switch gears a little bit and look ahead. Right? So Pedro is going to walk us through that inflection point or that pivot point, the decisions that we made that I touched on earlier. And we're going to dive into our Q2, Q3 company rock. And rock here, something to note, is singular. Can I have a show of hands, those of you who've been here for a while, that you can ever remember us having one company rock for a quarter? It's typical for us to have 3 to 4 company rocks. Sometimes we've had 2. We've had up to 7, which is way too much. This quarter we have 1, and I don't know that we've ever done this before, at least not in recent history. And this one rock is geared towards impacting everyone in this room in some way or another. And that's the focus, and we'll get into that. And we'll close it out with a quick look at our accountability chart. The accountability chart is not an org chart. The accountability chart is an organization, if you will. I guess that's kind of contradictory, but it's an organization of leadership and talent aligned in a way that we feel is the only way that we're going to get after the stuff that we need to do for the next 3 to 6 months. We'll take a peek at our VTO, some of the changes on it, and we'll be on our way to continue the work that we're doing. So first, Dave is going to kick us off and take a peek back at Q2 performance.
Let's see here. Good morning, everyone. My name is David Martinez. I'm the finance director at Guerrero. For those of you who don't know me or are new here, known for my explosively passionate speeches. I'm presenting highlights today, and we have a lot of fun stuff to cover. So let's get into it, starting with the financial highlights for Q2 here. First, we have up the Q2 total sales results. We did well given our circumstances at the beginning of Q2. We did $561,000 in April, $731,000 in May, and $850,000 in June. And as you can see, that's a nice, positive, progressive trend heading into Q3, and that's exactly what we want to see. We were able to do this largely because we had a high CAM average. I think it was 20 plus K for the mature CAMs, meaning you guys pulled us through when we were shorthanded. So thank you, and we truly appreciate the extra effort when we needed it most. Like I said, we had a light CAM team early in Q2, and we only had 3 active BD members most of the quarter. So it's great to see the progress as we chug along into Q3. So for Q3, this is where we want to be at. We want to do $670,000 in July, $724,000 in August, and $834,000 in September. A total of $2.23 million for Q3. This is very doable. As you can see, we surpassed the highest total in June already, and we've only added more team members. Our CAM team is almost to optimal level. Solid training is in place, and BD now has 4 amazing sellers. Cake. So I want to walk you guys through some quick P&L highlights. First, I'm going to talk a little bit about the revenue that we have year to date. We're at $4.4 million through June. This puts us right in line with budget. This isn't exactly where we thought we'd be. This is where we need to be given our current financial situation. And one thing I wanted to disclose is that we had to adjust due to the timing of our sales and due to the time of our sales to hit our revenue targets and our lighter than expected headcount earlier in the quarter. What that means is that we reforecast revenue expectations to align with our current operational situation, which is totally normal course of business. We aren't going to hit targets that had 15 more CAMs and expect to hit the same revenue. It just doesn't make sense. Now, that being said, there was some silver lining. With the lighter than expected headcount, this gave us an opportunity to look in our operations and see if there were any efficiencies, while also taking a look at some of our vendors and either renegotiating, replacing, or eliminating some. And this actually resulted in an expense reduction of 23% prior year, which was huge. This is total expense. And which brings me through my next point. This all kind of drove down to our net profit. And through this whole financial journey with the revenue and the cost savings, we're still on pace to do 400,000 plus in profit by year end. A fantastic feat that we all should be proud of. So thanks for getting through it and helping us carry forward with that. Ultimately, too, this should lead to more cash in the bank. We just negotiated more favorable lending terms with our bank, and we should finish the year with a $500,000 cash increase. If the sales trend continues, we will potentially be able to use some of that cash to make investments for sustainability and growth that'll really carry us into the future for 2020. So let's keep it up. That's all I had for finance highlights. But if you ever have any questions about finance or anything like that, just stop by my office anytime. I'm always available and happy to discuss any of this stuff. Just gotta make it short and quick for the rock. Now let's move on to the fun stuff, starting with the sales highlights. Megan Applebach. Megan broke her own record of $115,000 in a single month to $129,000 in June. Amazing. Thank you, Megan, for that. Amazing accomplishment. Quick Cam hit here. Cam's had two of their best months of the year. They did $620,000 in May and $613,000 in June. And in June, 92% of the camps hit their quota in June. Another amazing achievement. That's incredible. So kudos to the camps here. Along that same line on the sales floor, the day one team has been assembled. They will serve as the idea makers and future leaders of the cam floor. Currently on the roster, we have Justin, Alyssa, Joe, and very serious James. Just kidding. Yeah, so let's not forget about our BD friends as well. They've nailed down some huge new partnerships with Cargill, LinkedIn. Those are brand new. And then we also renewed with Nike at the end of June. And these deals are valued at close to $150,000, which is huge for us. So way to go, BD. And again, these are huge companies. I'm always surprised, like, wow, we work with Nike. Incredible. Moving on here, time for our friends over in Creative. Creative put out the first of hopefully many Empowered issues, and it is a beauty. If you guys, I think Kevin sent this out. The gorgeous magazine really speaks to what we're trying to push out here on the Empowered side. Can't say this without saying a huge shout out to Elif. Is she here?
She's on the call.
Okay, well, anyway, huge shout out to Elif for getting this off the ground and taking it to this, what it is now. So congrats on that. Creative also launched an internship program, which is the first since I've been here. It's an editorial internship program. And Kevin W. and Hannah started to get some newbies inserted into the real work environment. Currently, we have Joe and Caroline. Here's a quick graphic of the items that they put together. They interviewed anniversary employee anniversaries and put together anniversary card content for LinkedIn. So great job, guys. Glad to have you here. Moving on to our Hispanic division. We've got some more Zoe highlights. Of course, we went through this last quarter, talked in great detail about it. But what we want to really emphasize here is the highlights and the marketing impact that this has for Guerrero. We're at 79,000 likes, 259 retweets, and 323 comments, just from Zoe accounts across LinkedIn and Instagram. So that's, again, amazing that we were able to work with Zoe. Oh yeah, we had a presidential candidate stop by. Julian Castro will be featured in Q3 HE magazine. I stopped by to the office to say hello and get his picture taken. Many of you met him, shook his hand. I was told to stay away. It's still crazy cool that, I mean, we're attracting presidential candidates to our side of the world. Just incredible. And of course, events for HD. They produced 3 huge Catalyst events in Q2 in DC, Chicago, and New York, as well as the big one. The summit happened in mid-June in New York. And of course, everyone loved it. They killed it. Vianney and Jill. Best one yet is all I've heard about the summit. So shout out to Vianney and Jill for making that happen. Just some quick snapshots. Beautiful space and influential speakers that we had. Ada Hughes, Robert Chavez, CEO of Hermes America. Not even sure how we pull that off, but huge shout out to Vianney for making it happen. Let's see what else we got here. All right, so lastly, I want to get into our impact and what we produce. And these happen to be HD related, but just some quick hits on how we impact other people's lives. From influencers to the community that sees our magazines. First, I want to play a video of one of our major collaborators, Carly Enriquez, that she posted on her reaction when she received her Leading Latinas issue that she was featured in. Just going to play that real quick here. It's right on the right side.
Hi, guys. So, definitely not going to show my face right now because I've been crying over the amount of gratitude that I'm feeling after getting home from an interesting day, the kind of day where you just want to quit literally everything. I came home to a special delivery from my friends at Hispanic Executive Magazine. It's the magazine with my feature in it, and I'm getting emotional. But my name's even on the cover, and it's right underneath someone I truly admire. She's badass, love her. Zoe Saldana. I honestly thought I was just going to get a little mention, but they have your girl on here, and shout out to Cass Davis. You are an amazing person. Thank you for shooting these incredible pictures. I'm so grateful to have met you. I wish you the best of luck with everything that you do. I'm so happy that you're part of the Hispanic executive team. You are amazing. And it continues. I did not know this was going to happen. This issue is dedicated to Leading Latinas, and your girl has made the list. She's surrounded by some incredible women I've admired for a very long time. I'm so emotional, it's crazy.
So that was Carly there. Sorry about that. Super rewarding, super powerful stuff. Along those same lines, next I want to read an email that actually Kathy Cantorsi received from a children's home director in the Bronx, New York. And it goes, former managing editor and development director. Now that I am semi-retired, I volunteer 2 days a week at a youth pathways in the South Bronx and use your magazine as inspiration to young men and women who walk past our doors. Work with youths ages 18 and 24 that have grown up in group homes and shelters who were never adopted. As they age out of the system, they are now coming to us to learn work readiness skills, college prep, and workforce training. Your magazine pages are used all over our corkboards, so these young men and women can read stories of successes by people who look like them and share a similar last name. To me, this is what it's really about. I mean, get the sales, the big time companies, the real impact is when we can inspire and potentially change the future of someone who reads our magazine, especially youth like this email. So in closing, I want you to carry that with you into quarter three. Be inspired to make a difference in someone's life and turn those into more highlights for quarter three. That's all I've got. Jacqueline is up next with Rockstars. Thank you guys.
Hi everyone, I'm Jacqueline. I am our chief of staff, and I am here to announce Rockstars. Rockstars is something that we do every quarter, and they are based on the 5 core values that we have. They are voted and nominated by our leadership team. So I'm going to run through those. Please hold all applauses till the end, and if your name is announced, please come up here. First one, Megan. Megan may have had a historical revenue month, but this Rockstar Award is not being awarded for that reason alone. Megan is an unbelievable seller. She breaks records. She's consistent month over month. Without the 130K plus month, her average is still 50K. Good job, Megan. You're a shining example to all the sales force. Next up is remote. Cheyenne is our positivity rock star. Even with a little less people on her team, Cheyenne continues to thrive. She's figured it out and she's took the challenge ahead. But more importantly, she did so with such a truly positive attitude that is inspirational to all. Next, who is also not here. Oh, sorry. Crap. Well, I'm cutting your neck. Sorry.
We have to choose someone.
Jill is the award winner for initiative. Jill's a rock star. Within her first 60 days here at Carrero, she took on 7 events, which is huge. She recently teamed up with Kathy and took the initiative to take a deep dive into our event communications, figured out how to streamline our efforts, and overhaul the areas that could always use improvements. She's an integral part of the events and BD team, and she always does it with a smile on her face. Okay, the next one, you know who it is. Kevin! Kevin has not only been here just a couple of months, but he's completely consumed his role as a director from all angles. He's managing and mentoring his staff while rolling out new policies and looking at the operations in a unique, level-headed, positive, and very thoughtful approach.
Thank you.
Good job. Last is fun. Nope. Alyssa really wants the sales floor to succeed, often spearheading cultural initiatives and making sure everyone is feeling the vibe. She's been dedicating 10 plus hours a month in sales management training, and she's still performing as a seller. Your dedication to enriching our sales culture and the floor is truly inspiring. Next up is Kyle to go over our Q2 results.
A lot of people have been talking crap to me today. But I was gonna blow this speech. Mike, where is he? Here we go. So I got results. So I'm gonna take a look back at quarter two, the results, the rocks that we set, and obviously what we did towards them and what came out of them. And so the first one I want to look at is going to be strategically aligning our Hispanic division to leverage our current assets across all of our platforms and our products to achieve $1.7 million and 5,000 members by the end of June. And so, looking back at all of these things, I think the one thing that we really learned is that the Hispanic division is a cross-functional department, and when you work with one or two people, it's pretty easy, the communication channels. But as soon as the amount of people go to 5, go to 10, go to 20, and all of those people live in different departments, it gets really, really difficult. And so bringing people together early and often to communicate, from creative to marketing to finance to sales, it matters. It matters a lot, early and often. And so jumping right into the actual results, though, that we achieved, we had some great ones. First and foremost, the plan was to bring together this cross-functional team 9 times last quarter out of a total of 13 weeks. We actually did 10. And so everybody came together, shared what they're working on, what clients they're working with, what issues they're having, what opportunities are they seeing. From that, there was actually 14 opportunities teed up from content and advertising managers, business development folks that they were collaborating on. And then last but not least, we actually brought in, we have total right now 5,668 members in all the Hispanic division. Goal by the end of the year is 10,000, so we're a little bit over halfway there. And we also had one of our largest, that's supposed to say Q2 2019, I'm sorry, but we had one of our largest acquisition months ever in Q2. So absolutely fantastic from the HD standpoint. Next rock was, oh no, never mind. Sorry, I got more results. The summit, it was our highest attended summit ever. 206 attendees total. 286 attendees total. On the sales side, we also, not only did we sell the most revenue against it, it was also the most profitable the summit has ever been, reaching 25% profitability. So the business development sellers and content advertising managers who helped tee up some leads, much appreciated, awesome work here. And then this is a new one for us here. We have 32,000, I think we're just short of $32,000 sold in ticket sales. So 286 members, 32 grand in ticket sales. So unbelievable stuff. Awesome job. Everybody that played a role in the Hispanic division, really great stuff. We have the G Plus Rock, which is market, pitch, and win to agency of records. So this was my rock for the quarter. And so what I want to talk about here is that Guerrero G Plus, right? It's not dead. It's not gone, right? I know that I don't know what the date was, at some point in May, a month into the quarter, I transitioned into a seat to lead the content and advertising managers along with the sales directors. And it doesn't mean that this business that we built over the past 6 months, 8 months since I think whatever December of last year is dead and gone, right? It's still alive and it's still well, all right? We did some amazing things in a short period of time. We took a lot of lessons back, and I think really the challenge now, it's about timing. When can we devote the bandwidth and the focus to this organization to keep building it? And who are the people, right? Creative side, finance side, sales side, that can actually sell this stuff, that can actually produce this stuff. But in general, we have a bunch of awesome things that we did. And so I want to talk about the actual results from this. And so looking at what we've done, so one of the clients that we landed was an organization called the Entrepreneurs Organization, also known as EO. They have roughly 200 to 300 members here in Chicago. They're entrepreneurs who are looking to grow their business. And this organization basically has a calendar of events. They have an event every single month with big time speaker Marcus Lemonis. You name them, they probably solidified them. Pedro was the former president of the Chicago chapter, I think 2 years ago. And so they're still working with us today. And so we produced this awesome looking book, calendar events, etc. And we're also working on monthly communications for them. So we produce, I believe, a newsletter for them every single month. And then at their events, they have great presentations like this. We produce those as well. In addition to that, we are, well, one, Jacqueline made this amazing Guerrero media sales training manual that myself and Lexi and are currently using. But I'm working with a client. His name's Mike Strada. He's the CEO of a digital marketing organization, and he needs the exact same thing, right? So I'm building out his current sales manual. And actually, just as of yesterday, he asked me, can you hire 3 salespeople for me, and can you train them and run them? And I told him I need to think about that. So, yeah, I told him, yeah, and then we're going to figure it out later. So, so I don't have anything on Mike yet. I just literally have a Word document, so the pictures would be pretty lame. But he's been awesome to work with. In addition to these things, I have set up channel partners. So Raymond Seifel over here is the CEO of Caliber Merchant Solutions, and Trisha Daho is the CEO of Empower, a management consulting company. And they work with my target market, our target market, G+, all day long. They work with CEOs of businesses. And every CEO needs a new website, they need marketing collateral, they need to help their sales team. And so they're actually been an awesome partner of ours, referring us leads. And so Kevin's been working hand in hand with these folks. When they have a lead that they know that needs a new website, they've been referring them over. We've been submitting quotes and RFPs. So in due time, I think these relationships will be outstanding for us. Kevin also built us a landing page. So we actually have a website for G+. At the end of the day, it's MVP. It's basically our minimum viable product. It's nothing fancy. There is a link on the landing page that takes you to our services deck, all of our suite of offerings, some examples of the work that we've done. So that's in existence now. And then what I've learned from all of this and what I've documented in processes is, who are we targeting? Why are we targeting them? Who are typically the decision makers? What is our approach, right? Are we going immediately right out of the gate within 30 days for a $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 deal? Or does it really pay to start small, do great work on a project, get sticky, and ask for more work once you've proven yourself, right? And I think that's the way that we've really grown with EO, and I think that's the way that the relationship with Archilea is going to begin to expand. So really focusing on starting small, executing really well, and moving from there. The last rock that we worked on, and actually one of my favorites, or my favorite, is launching Guerrero Media 3.0, talent recruitment and company onboarding to make our company look, feel, and be the best place to work. And Mark owned this rock. I thought everything that came out of it was absolutely fantastic. I mean, I remember 6 years ago when I was hired, my interview was by the refrigerator. It was a great place to have an interview. I'm thankful, though, we're still not doing interviews by the refrigerator. But in addition to that, I think that it's been a testament to, there's a cliche, right? Change is the only constant, but like, I really think it is. I think it's really challenging to know that, 3 or 4 years ago, we revamped the recruiting process. We've done all of this stuff before, but sitting here today, 3 or 4 years later, we're doing it again. And I think that's just a testament to the amount of discipline, focus that an organization has to have, not just on one aspect of the business, but many aspects of the business. And so even looking at this today, 2, 3, who knows, maybe 9 months from now, we might have to revamp this again based on where we are and what we're doing. But I thought everything that came out of this has been great, which is what I want to get into. So first and foremost, we really identified how recruiting can help other departments outside of sales, right? And I think we've been bucketing recruiting's help to other departments. Let's recruit creatives the same way. Let's recruit finance people the same way that we do salespeople. We're coming to the realization that it's not possible, right? We've had half-day meetings, talked about this. There's some similarities, but we need to do it differently. So we've come to that conclusion. In addition to that, I have been joining all of the content and advertising manager interviews. So I've been present in all of them. Haley conducted a competitive salary analysis against our competition. We are on par. We created a brand new week 1 onboarding plan for our new hires who are experiencing this currently. Kevin's going to get up here in a little bit and talk about the unbelievable new Guerrero Media marketing employer branding campaign that we're launching today. Really fun stuff. And, I think last but not least is like just the results that I think this rock has produced in the last 90 days and even now in this quarter. And so those results, speaking from the sales perspective, right, I think they speak for themselves. Our new hires, they're doing awesome. That's 2018 numbers versus 2019 numbers, right? So when you look at these, this is about getting real. And I think that's the statement we're running with our employer brand is let's get real. And so with dedicated focus from our brand new sales training manager, Lexi, from the creation of the onboarding from the sales training manual, all of last quarter with the help of Tier 1, many other content advertising managers, Jacqueline's incredible project management. I mean, that book is this big, but we use it every damn day. It's important, right? So these are the kind of results that matter. This is the kind of results that say this organization, me, Lexi, Jacqueline, Pedro, this team, we're getting real. We're getting really real, right? And this is what it's about. So without further ado, in regards to let's get real, in regards to the quarter 3 rock that we're going to set, Pedro's going to introduce that. Thank you.
Hello. So, as Mark mentioned at the start of the meeting, we're at the halfway mark for the year. And these quarterly meetings are a great time for us to stop and get a view of where we're going, to zoom out and see the landscape before we dive back in to our work and focus on the road ahead. And the analogy of the road is one that we've used at this meeting before. And I think it's an appropriate one to describe what we need to do as a company in the next 6 months, beginning with this quarter and the work that's already underway. And so what road are we on? What was that? Oh, that was like a sound effect of a motorcycle. I was like, that's cool, thanks. So what motorcycle is this? The road is the path that we're traveling on our journey to be the indispensable partner for 100,000 executives. Our annual goals that you see on your VTO, those are our guideposts for our destination. The VTO on your chairs is the map of the world we live in. And it outlines our strategy to make sense of this world. And it's not just to survive in it, but to thrive. A place where we as a company provide a tremendous value to our customers. A place where we have a fan base that believes our work is indispensable to their careers. And coming off one of the most impactful alumni society events yet, summits, I should say, listening to what our members tell us, we're closer now than ever before. A challenge that we've had, and we've talked about this before, is how do we scale those amazing experiences that we feel externally, internally? When we meet our clients in person, we feel the impact of our work. Their gratitude for what we've created validates our company's purpose and the work that you do every single day. So at our offsite planning meeting, the analogy of the road came up again. And as we were discussing our progress towards the goals, Kyle used the analogy to describe the literal path that we've been on for the past year in a way to explain what he felt should be our focus for the next 6 months. And he made the case that our focus should be towards paving the road for 2020, because in his mind, our road this past year was made of cobblestone. It's been a bumpy ride. And so cobblestone road is, it's one that's nice if you're taking a leisurely stroll, if you're on vacation, but it's not one they're going to want to walk on heels on or run on, let alone drive 80 miles per hour on. So if we want to scale faster towards the 3-year picture, which is on your VTO, we need to focus relentlessly on doing everything that we have to do in the next 6 months to pave this road so that next year we're running fast. And so when we decide what we need to prioritize,
so that we paved that road, we looked at our results and we compared them to the current state of the business against our annual goals, including the financial ones that Dave shared. So here's a slide. That's not the slide. That's the slide, okay? This is a slide that captures our results. We did a lot in the last 6 months, okay? We set 7 major corporate rocks, and we got close to completing all of them. And so for me, like the amount of work that we're able to accomplish while tackling all the other things you heard of in our highlights is frankly remarkable. It's a lot of work. And so although we completed a ton, we have to admit that we fell short in some major ways, which now it sets us behind on our annual goals, except for profitability that Dave mentioned. So, another reason the road wasn't smooth was one of the big issues that we had going into the year was retention. And retention impacts the financial performance of the company. It also impacts the culture. Lastly, one of the other things that I think is a indirect impact to why the road was bumpy is I think, honestly, we set too many rocks. And setting too many rocks forces unintended trade-offs. And a big trade-off was that we didn't have time to focus on the most important thing that matters to a company and its ability to execute strategy, our most important customer. And that's everyone in this room. That's all of you. And so because I know how to work this thing, that's the slide that I wanted to talk about. You guys heard me talk about this last quarter. And you also heard me talk about often that we have a great strategy. And we've been working diligently in the past not just 6 months, we've been working diligently for the past 4 years on executing against it. But it's only 1% of what it means to run a successful company. 99% of running a company is its people. So, in many ways, you could say that we've had this go backwards. So where we find ourselves now, at this halfway point, are decisions that your leadership team up here had to make. Do we stick to the course that we previously set, ignore our capabilities on the ground, and risk repeating the past? Or do we pivot, identify our top priority, focus relentlessly on it, and get real about our annual goals? And so we chose to pivot. And pivoting is what leadership teams do. It's our job to adjust. And so in choosing to face reality and doing something about it, there's nothing grittier about that. And nothing grittier about getting real. So this quarter, we want to try something different, as Mark explained. Rather than having multiple corporate rocks, we wanted one. Rather than having one owner of a rock, as prescribed by the book Traction, which all of you I know have read and have by your bedside, I want the entire leadership to own this rock. Because it's our intention that we up here make a priority the thing that matters most to people in this room. Because at the end of the day, we got to walk out of here and tackle the great work that we do every single day, creating great magazines we publish, editing, writing great content, planning great events, selling sponsorship opportunities, trafficking ads, collecting invoices, acquiring new members, researching new opportunities, recruiting new people, managing clients, pitching big companies, running teams, working behind the scenes to make this place work. That's a lot of stuff, right? Making executives look good. So I want this rock to be a reflection of an engaged leadership team, asking you the right questions, listening to your needs, and acting on what must get done. And if we do this rock well, I want the outcome of our crystal clear focus to be felt by you and felt by all of us in this room. One where the company feels as awesome as we believe it to be or as we want it to be. So this quarter, it's time for us to get real. Your leadership team is going to focus on this. So earmuffs for those in the room that are going to be offended by this word, but it's time for us to get real and focus on efforts on making this place fucking awesome for you and us, okay? This rock's going to be owned by us in this room. And there's going to be 3 strategies to get after. The first one's going to be owned by Mark, and he's going to come up here later to explain what that looks like, but that's to educate, commit to, engage with employees from day one. The second strategy is going to be run by KB. It's going to be to sustain, grow the employee from their first moment on the job and to build our company fan base. And the third strategy, which is going to be led by Jacqueline, is going to be to create a celebratory atmosphere that promotes appreciation, care, trust, and recognition. And so before I ask the team to come up and help elaborate on the strategies, Mark mentioned I was going to talk about this last time. I'm going to talk about it now. I want you guys to reference, if you'd like, the documents on your chairs. If you look at the annual goals in the VTO, if you haven't already, I'll go through some of the changes at a very brief, high-level highlight. The first one, obviously, is top-line revenue. Because we're off on that, we adjusted it. The number of people we have on the sales floor, including business development, drives revenue. And right out of the gate, we had our friend Aaron decide to move to New York, and a lot of other things transpired. So we really had to readjust our top-line revenue, and that's what you see there. Remarkably, as David explained, profit, which is the most important number, frankly, that allows us to invest in the organization, do the things we need to do, is on track to roughly 426,000. So this is an important thing to mention. This isn't set in stone. This is a projection. Okay, so we still have work to do. All the work that you have to do, and I'm looking at, when I say you, I say the sales team. What we have to hit in Q3, both between CAM and BD, and then in Q4 is going to drive this profit number. And so what we need to do in the next 6 months, and that's outlined in the VTO between both squads, is 498 million. As Kyle mentioned, we're not behind on the 10,000 members for HD, so that's what we're going to focus on in the next 6 months, is hitting that target. And then obviously, as Kyle mentioned, we're pivoting G Plus to be more of a passive brand, but opportunistic. So when we hear from the clients that they're looking for some sort of rebound or what have you, we have these conversations all the time on the CAM team and certainly on the BD team. We have now collateral that we can pivot those conversations and perhaps land a deal that we're trying to, that we're going to want to land. And lastly, the thing that we're going to be focusing on the sales floor that Kyle's already underway getting after is automating and enhancing how we execute the CAM model, all in the spirit of helping you succeed. Lastly, the accountability chart is our playbook for the next 90 days. This thing changes every quarter. It should change, all right? A static org chart tells me the company ain't doing anything, okay? So this is just what we have designed as our playbook to tackle the goals that we need to tackle the next 90 days. For both the annual goals and the org chart, my door is always open. You have my email. You have Jacqueline's email. Come and talk to me. I'm more than happy to discuss any questions you have on both items. So with that, Mark's going to come up here and help us tackle our first strategy for this corporate rock.
Hey again. So our first strategy is about setting our people up to succeed from day one. And day one does not mean like their first day in the office. It means the moment they sign an offer letter with us. That's when we consider people to be employees and part of our company. And so as Pedro mentioned, we named this Educate, Commit, and Engage with Employees from that moment. And the point of all of this, the point of this strategy is to introduce new employees to the culture immediately. We want new employees to feel and to know and internalize what it is we do here and why we do it, why it matters. I think that's kind of our purpose, right? If you have to put a name on it. And I think that purpose becomes more and more and more apparent the longer you work here, right? You organically absorb it, you get involved in it, you do really good work, you see how it impacts people. But walking through the door, you've got what you heard in our interview maybe, you've got our presentation, we've got an hour, at least as an hour or so with new employees, and that's it. And then it takes a while to really get that. And so we thought, well, how great would it be? How impactful and powerful would it be if we could help new employees internalize and feel what we feel about the company before they even start? It's a fast track, if you will. And that's what this strategy is. And so we're planning new ways to engage with employees during that time frame from when they sign an offer to that start date. It's not radio silence anymore. And that is very atypical, I think, from what we used to do somewhat. But it's very atypical from what other companies do. But starting from the moment they sign an offer, we want to start talking. And that's what we're going to do. We're planning new ways to introduce new employees to the organization on their first day, their actual first day in the office. So no more come in, sit on the couch, kind of awkwardly stare at other people, don't know what to do, shuffle into a little conference room, and then you get a great presentation for release, right? And then you're off. You're in the jungle now, right? You're upstairs, you sit at your desk, you're downstairs. It's just not, there's a better way to do this. And we know that because we throw events for clients all day long. They're high caliber, they're awesome. We get paid a lot of money to do it. Well, why don't we do that for ourselves? And so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have an event every single time someone starts here. There will be an event, a Guerrero planned, run, focused event. Yanni and Jill are planning it. This is the real deal. This is the real thing. Leadership's gonna be there, management's gonna be there. This is a commitment. We're gonna expand first week programming. So that first week on the job is a critical point to help people feel comfortable, to get them, to start that understanding, to plant that seed. I mean, I guess we planted some seeds, if you want to use that, it's probably a bad metaphor, but to sort of get people off the ground and going. That first week is pivotal. And so we're gonna have programming that includes one-on-one time with leadership, one-on-one time with management, and more structured time with peers to get that stuff going quicker. And then we're bringing back, or we're expanding, or we're rehashing our 30, 60, 90-day new hire leadership meetings. And for those of you who weren't a part of this, we did these several quarters ago and we kind of stopped. We're bringing them back because they work. And these meetings are a deep dive into all that is Guerrero. So in 30 days, you get a deep dive into how does this place actually work? What does AOS really mean, right? What does the org chart really mean? How do we get our work done? How do we get our stuff out the door? And then after that, it's like, okay, well, that's cool, but why do we do it? What's our purpose? At 60 days, you've been here long enough to get the nuts and bolts, so we can absorb our purpose a little bit deeper, a little bit more meaningful. And that comes at 60 days. And then at 90 days, we pivot to what's ahead. And everyone will meet with Pedro to talk about, he's our visionary, aside from our CEO. And you sit in that room with Pedro and you talk about our vision and our mission, and you get to interact with the guy calling the shots, right? And the guy who started this place. One-on-one interaction or small group interaction, all about the vision and the mission and the core values and why they're so important to us. And that sort of wraps up what we think a real, and there's training and all other shit, but like that's the nuts and bolts of what we want to do with this rock. It's about our culture, it's about our purpose and why we're here. It's about getting people started and off on the right foot the second they sign their names off the letter. So I want to address what some of you might be thinking. I assume some of you are thinking. And to do that, I want to ask you a question. How many of you in here are not current Guerrero employees? You haven't started.
I haven't started yet.
What's your name?
Kelsey Price.
Kelsey, welcome, Kelsey.
Thanks.
So I was expecting no hands, but we'll roll with this. Sorry. So I am sorry. I'm sorry, but this strategy, aside from you, is not about any of you. This goal, this strategy, everything that we're going to do this quarter around this part of the rock, it's not directly about any of you. Maybe some of you will attend those 30, 60, 90, but for the most part, none of you are going to feel this or touch this, not directly. And I'm not sorry about that, because the outcome of this rock, if done correctly, is what you're going to feel, right? Because you work next to these people. These people sit next to you. We have a ton of new faces in here right now, and we have a ton of old faces in here. Kathy's been here for a decade, right? And we have.
Thanks for calling me old, Mark.
Don't tell her. So there's, so we have someone day one sitting next to someone who knows everything about this company and feels everything about this company. And how great would it be if we could bridge that gap a little bit more, right? How much more impactful would it be for you to sit down next to someone who's got a little bit more understanding? You get a better conversations, better collaboration. Everybody's work improves. We can use metaphors of we're only as strong as our weakest sort of link or whatever, but I think that's probably not appropriate. But it's about bringing everybody up together, right? And that's the impact that you guys are going to feel. And this scope ends at that 90-day mark. Right? So after 90 days, you're kind of out of onboarding and it's on to what's next. And what's next is sustaining, growing, supporting the culture that we have here, supporting the company. And that's what we're going to cover next. Kevin's going to lead that strategy. He's going to tell you what it's all about.
Good morning. Morning.
Morning.
Okay, so every morning when I get up, I have this ritual. Does anybody do this? Do you have a morning ritual? Show of hands, please. Okay, so it's doing those same things over and over again. They kind of get you up and get you going about the day. So probably like many of you, I like to arise at 5 a.m. and I read 2 or 3 chapters of Traction. And then I read my horoscope. Anybody check their horoscope?
Yeah.
Come on, you don't have to be sure. Come on. I know you do it. No, I know you're going to tell yourself, I kind of believe it, but I kind of don't believe it. So I read mine this morning and it said, things are going to be a bit discombobulated for you. The word discombobulated is in my horoscope. It says, it goes on to say, you're going to be out of sorts. And then it closes with, if you have to speak, try not to say anything if you can help it. Great setup for public speaking, right? So I am sorry, but not sorry. Mark's point was, you're not, most of the people except for Kelsey, are not going to feel that first third of the rock because you're already here. But you're certainly going to feel the sustaining part and the celebratory part. So you will feel 2/3 of that. What's that? Okay, I'll go with it. The discombobulation begins. So we know that your entry into the company is just the beginning of your journey with the company. And we know that the journey has a beginning and an end. We know that unlike Kathy, you're probably not going to stay here for 20 years. And how many years has it been? We know that you're probably going to have career aspirations and you're going to want to build and you're going to want to grow here. So this rock is really about sustaining you through that process. In case you haven't grasped this concept up until this point, we're shifting our focus away from business and we're putting our focus on you. You've probably heard you and us and we, and you've heard get real, about getting real. You've heard about making an impact. I think that that's often lost in our day-to-day business. When we look at Carrie's video, that went on for quite a while, longer than what we actually saw. The woman was like to the point of tears in the impression that she saw when she got that magazine. And I think that we don't see that. And we don't see what happens when people get that. And we don't see what happens when people see their feature online. For us, it's the product, but for our features, it's something else entirely. It's highly emotional. So we don't want to forget about that. So it's all about you, sweet you. So this is the sustaining part, and we've hopefully done a good job at onboarding you. And we've got you into the culture, and we've started your engagement. Now you're going to be an employee here, and what comes next? And I think it's all about sustaining you. And the purpose of this rock is to bring to life our shared culture and to use it to nurture our people and grow our business. Nurture our people, grow our business. We're going to do that through 3 different strategies of sustaining. We're going to create presence and pride. We're a brand, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. And I think that with brand comes a lot of emotion. With brand comes a lot of loyalty. With brand comes reasons to believe. That's what makes you brand loyal. We're going to do our very, very best to engage and train. We don't have unlimited funds, so the trip to Cannes is probably off. We're going to look at different ways. Does everybody know what that reference was? Okay. We're going to look at different ways to engage and train you on a daily basis. And lastly, we're going to ask, listen, and act. We're We're going to do everything in our power. As many issues as you have, as many pain points as you have, we're going to listen to those. We're going to ask you how you're doing, and we're going to try to take as much action as possible. So let's look at great presence and pride. When you talk to your friends, do you tell them, what do you tell them? I work at Guerrero, and here's what we do. Do they know where you work? Do they know the name? No, sadly, no. Okay, we're going to try to fix that because we're going to try to have more of an outbound message projected into the marketplace. We're going to try to act a little bit more like a brand. Probably some of you have already seen some of the things that we're putting on LinkedIn. That's going to be sort of our channel for getting our name out there, for getting our news out there, for recognizing people. And more importantly, with LinkedIn, that's a key channel for us to onboard people, to find candidates and prospects. We need to learn how to act as stewards of a brand, and Guerrero is our brand. So we have responsibility for that. The brand, in turn, has responsibility to you, provide you the things that you need. Benefits, the attributes, the performance, etc. As a brand, we need to create the language and the belief system that works outwardly and inwardly. So whatever we're projecting to ourselves, things that we're telling ourselves, they need to go to the outside market. They need to go to our friends, our prospects, people that we're talking to about when we talk about this company and your job and what you do. It's the gospel that we all believe in. We need to be our own fans in order to build our fan base. We talked a little bit about building our fan base. It's incredible some of the things that we hear from people who no longer work here. They really value, after in retrospect, they really value the time that they were here. They had time to figure out the things about their career. They had time to improve their skills. They actually were gracious and grateful to have had the opportunity to put their hands on work, to actually do things that make an impact. That's what the email from the lady in the box. I mean, they're using our publication as examples of success for people who are looking for that success. There carries a video. I mean, there's just one of many of examples of the impact that we can create every single day. So I'm a fan. I hope that we're all fans of this company and of this brand. And in order to do that, we believe that we offer people opportunities to learn things that I just talked about, and build on their careers, and to make an impact. I can't tell you how many people that I've talked to in various stages of their career, whether it's from the beginning, from the middle, towards the end. Nobody wants to come in and be part of the furniture. Everybody wants to come in and do something. Don't you want to start your day doing something? Don't you want to end your day doing something? Something that makes sense. Something that has an impact, something that was worth doing in the first place. That's what gets me through the day. So, a lot of you maybe have worked in big places. Have anybody worked at big, like Google type style places? Big corporate? You can raise your hands up high. There you go. Okay. Did they have foosball tables? Yeah. Okay. I think that when we all think about those types of companies compared to our type of company, we're a small company compared to those large corporate entities. And they have a lot of perks. But they also have a lot of people. And sometimes it's easy to get lost in that shuffle. We have a different value prop here. That's that you can come in and you can make an impact and you can make a difference. You can be a player. So as opposed to, are you at the foosball table a lot more than the conference table? Good question to ask yourself. Just another face in the crowd, are you actually making an impact? If you're not doing any of that, it might be time to seriously think about your career and getting real with your career. So we're going to make this part of our mantra. We're going to get real. We're going to get real about you. We're going to get real about our business. We're not taking our focus off our business. We're splitting that focus and putting it on our people because that's really an important commodity. You probably heard that saying ad nauseum. Our most valuable commodity gets on the elevators every day and goes home. That's you guys. That's us. That's all of us. So we like this don't be another face in the crowd. And we think from an onboarding perspective, it's a really powerful message. To talk about not just blending in, but being in a place that's going to allow you to make an impact. So we have 3 or 4, I think there's 3 here, 8-second bumpers. We're going to put them in on LinkedIn. They're animated. They have a message, and you will be able to link from those bumper ads to our careers page. So we feel this is really going to help. The focus primarily in the beginning will be on recruitment. We're looking to recruit, looking to bring the right type of people in here, people who want to make an impact. After that, I think we're going to talk more about the gospel and the beliefs that we have. We're going to continue to put communications and messaging out into that channel. So this is don't be just another face in the office crowd. Pad and paper. Just a little smile when the logo comes up. Don't be just another face in the crowd. We're hiring. So we're going to have 3 of these. We're going to run them. We're going to cycle them through. As I said, they will be clickable. They will bring you to the careers page. I also want to point out, this is very atypical of work that we've done in the creative department. So another little departure into areas that we have never done before. Donuts. Takes you to the careers page. A little bit of a more expanded message here. If you're ready to stop blending in the background and make a real impact with your work, you need to join our crowd. And then just for kicks, this is kind of how the whole scroll page looks. So this is about building presence and pride. This is creating a core message for outbound and internal audiences. This is creating a communications plan for each group. This is about building presence in our market. So we'll ask you all, once you see those ads, please share them out, if you will. That helps us get more messaging out there. Okay, what else can we do? We can look at this from now and later, because frankly, we can't do it all at one time. So now we can have our homepage integration that I just talked about. We're going to have recruiting collateral that goes with those bumper ads. We're going to look at, oops, sorry, that was my fault. We're going to look at social media. We need to have a higher, bigger, more robust presence in social media. Just like the creative department has learned that bringing interns in is a wonderful thing. It's a great way to sort of create some buzz. And the buzz that you create is in the schools. And people who are responsible for internship programs, they all talk to one another. There's a network. We would like to be part of that conversation. So portfolio days, school alignments, aligning with certain schools for intern opportunities. We want to build an office environment of vitality, professionalism, and energy. We want to have pride in our surroundings. When you walk into a place that has an aesthetic, you know it. And it doesn't matter how big or how small they are. It looks sophisticated. It looks, why does this keep going? I don't know. We want to do that for ourselves. And sometimes that just comes down to cleaning the place up and adding a little office decor. Later, we wanted to do targeted advertising and paid media. We want to have guest speaker engagements. We want to produce industry POVs and white papers. We want to sponsor and host mini influencer and thought leader events. And we want to have memberships in local, active, and credible associations. And lastly, I think we need a PSA. I think we need a charitable, philanthropic partnership with a hospital or an organization that will fulfill our needs to have purpose beyond our work days, this is a great way that we can do it. Think about the power of this group when applied against a need or a desire from a charity. It can do wonderful things. Okay, engage and train. We want to make you marketable. We don't want to promote you to the point where you're going to leave in a year, but we do want to make you valuable. More valuable than when you walked in the door. So we want to train and inspire you. We want to enrich our staff through relevant skill training. And that's upskilling and outskilling. We want you to be a little bit more aware and trained in trends and have connections to the industry influencers and events. So these are skills that you can utilize while you're here to the greatest extent, and you can use them on your next job. I mean, that's been a very valuable, in fact, there's study after study and survey after survey that says there's a great value in the skill training that people will receive on the job. So we're going to do everything we possibly can within our means to provide that kind of opportunity for you. Short way in, lynda.com, which I don't think is lynda.com anymore. It's LinkedIn Learning, right? I looked into company memberships. I think it's affordable. I think it's relevant. I looked at, there's like 2,000 tutorials on lynda.com, and I think it's a really good idea for us to use. We can certainly do homegrown lunch and learns. We have various people in here who have various skill sets and various backgrounds, and we need to start sharing and talking about that. We want to revive open work. How many people remember open work? That's a great little perk. Something that's really easy for us to do. My next slides are just going to be black and white with no transitions. Huddles and coffee talks. We can do this. I think I want to have Pedro, host a coffee talk maybe once a quarter, where we can all come and we can have a variety of discussions and any questions. Nothing is sacred. You can bring up anything that you want to. And later we can do TED Talk style speakers. We can look at local classes and seminars on topics of interest and relevance. And we have professionals and we want to create impact. So a great way to do that is own innovation. We need to start an innovation effort within this company, within this group. Lastly, ask, listen, and act. There's not a lot of programming around this. We're gonna promote face-to-face engagements in real time. We're gonna value and encourage courageous conversation. We want to discuss employee wants and make every attempt to provide for your needs. We want to include you in any of the narrative that's happening. Why? It's said that if you take care of your people, they'll take care of your business. And that's what the leadership group has turned their focus to this quarter versus some of the business focus that we've had in previous quarters. So when we focus on you, all of us, we realize our full potential, craft our own experience, and achieve profitable growth. That's it. Outcomes, just a few. I think there'll be more. We're going to develop and merchandise the thematic. I think we're going to utilize the Let's Get Real. We're going to develop an outbound campaign. I think you just saw the beginnings of that. We're going to survey the staff and create an employee value prop. I mean, I think employment here and a good employment here maybe looks a little bit differently depending on where you work, what floor you're on. We're going to launch an office decor effort. We've already had our name in the conference rooms contest. We're going to put up some transfers. We're going to try to make our surroundings look as best as they can. We're going to launch or relaunch, revive open work and launch lunch and learns. And we're going to institute coffee talks. I think there's probably more that's going to come out of this as far as actual outcomes. The one outcome will be retention. We're going to measure our retention. We're going to see how long people are staying here. We're going to understand better why people would choose to go somewhere else. And that's what it's all about ultimately, is you making sure that you're here and sustained and productive and as happy as you can possibly be. So Pedro is going to come up and talk to us about the celebratory aspect of this, and that's the last third of the rock. Are there any questions? Nope. Carry on.
So we're at the halfway mark of this presentation. We got a couple more hours to go. Just kidding. We're almost done. Okay, this is the most fun part of the meeting. So to talk about what the strategy is going to look like, it's a bit like talking about a great song by reading sheet music. Right? It doesn't make sense. Okay. There's a lot of tactics and things that are already underway, things that we have already done in the past that are really going to elicit this outcome. Right, where we feel like this is a place where we celebrate, promote each other, care, trust, etc., and recognition. So to do that, I'm going to ask my two favorite people to come up here and help us celebrate. All right, let's do it.
Hey, hello. We are doing anniversaries, birthdays, and new hires. Okay. So we're gonna do anniversaries first. So can y'all come up here? All my anniversaries. That's Cam, Dave, David, and I want to take some time to thank everyone up here for their hard work and dedication for 1 year, Jenny, 4 years. Wow. This is crazy. So, in the spirit of keeping the executive at the center of everything we do, we've asked everyone to share an impactful story that you have with the executive or an impactful event. So we make the newest go first. Cam, you want to go first?
Sure. I guess for me, I was thinking about it the other day, and my first client was Steve Bedora. He was an architect at SLCE, and he was my first disco, my first list, my first sale, and it was impactful because we actually bonded over the fact that he was from Queens, my mom was from Queens, and it was just the example of what I into it, and that's kind of how I learned a little bit more about the sales role. It's more than just talking business, it's a personal connection as well. So,
Yay, Cam! David, I'm super curious to hear what you have.
Obviously, I've worked with too many executives like you guys, but the story that resonated with me, I guess, is the Soul Tribune article. It really impacted me personally, as I feel like I was part of the conversation that he was having about Hispanics in the business world, how they're becoming mainstream. And it's really a point of pride to have someone like that advocating for people like Candace. And before that, though, all that we do is maybe that with TS. Thank you for doing what you do, for getting our name out there. It's just it speaks to me personally, right? So.
Okay, celebrating 2 years is Juanita, and she is not here, but she sent me something to share. So she said she remembered talking to Joe Thornton, the CEO of Jamba Juice, which I love. But anyway, that was my side. And she was talking about how important it is to be intentional with each and every interaction you have, regardless of the person you're interacting with. So one of Joe's favorite quotes is, "People don't always remember what you say, but how you make them feel." And that's to say that you have to make sure you're intentionally engaging in a respectful way with others so they can possibly remember your shared connection. And she said since their conversation that's something she always tries to apply. So congrats, Juanita.
I have a number, but I would say one that really resonates with me just on a personal level was this executive. He was born and raised in Russia, as was I. And we really connected on that level. And he kind of understood the process, but not necessarily. And so as we were wrapping up the conversation, I was like, there's no way this list is going to sell. And so after he gave me his list, he called me back and he's like, I'm so excited for you to tell my story. As an immigrant, I feel like we lack that kind of like appreciation specifically from Russia. And so I was like, okay, we got to figure this out. And that was one of my highest selling lists to date.
That's
So
awesome.
it was really cool.
Yay. Just like Jenny, I've had
at several, so I was trying to think of the part that most impactful over that time, but I was thinking of the last year. And one of the things I was reminded of was when I've been interviewing some of these executives, the hallmark of great leadership, we feature great leaders. And I think the hallmark is when they make you a follower of theirs. And I was almost immediately made a follower of Claudia Romo Edelman when I talked to her. We were just going to do a digital feature, and she immediately started complimenting me just on the questions that I created for the interview, which I did in like 10 minutes. And she just started connecting with me. And by the end, I just wanted to do anything I could for her to help her cause. She's a humanitarian. She's a UN special advisor, and she started a foundation called We Are All Human. Since then, we've done a day in the life photo essay of her. We've done a little Instagram story on that too. We featured her in our Leaving Latinas issue. It's grown to much more, and we're developing a really strong partnership for it. So that's definitely memorable for me.
Thank you, everybody, and congrats on being awesome.
Next, we have July birthdays.
Fitting, Haley.
We want to sing happy birthday to everyone whose birthdays are up here. On count of three.
Today.
Who's not here? I don't know.
Okay, she's not here. Let's go with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Happy birthday, Hannah.
1, 2, 3.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Isabella. Happy birthday to you. Woo! Yay!
And then lastly, we have new hires, so some new faces in the office. We have Grant Norris, Matt Spiller, Mia Athena, Chantel Roberts, Melody Pola, Gretchen Pegan, and Joseph Chorney. So if you guys want to stand up, quickly say a fun fact about yourself. First person I see, Matt, you want to stand up? Give us a fun fact.
Yeah, it's Matt Spiller. Fun fact about me. I don't know. I'm colorblind.
All right, we got a friend.
Three different states in the last 3 years: California, Michigan.
Hi guys, I'm Mia. A fun fact of mine is that I won a mechanical bull contest. Stayed on for 50 minutes.
I'm Grant Norris. It's not really a fun fact, but I'm looking for people in the office who want to go.
Stand up. My name is Gretchen. I just moved here from Indiana, and I'll golf only if it's scrambles.
Hi, I'm Melody. My fun fact is that I shaved my head for St. Mildred's
Back to you.
Back to me?
Yep.
Cool. So we're gonna have other things that we do throughout the course of the year to really get this strategy underway. Really, it's about making this celebration that we do all across the company part of the fabric of our culture. Okay. And Grant, thanks for volunteering to lead the new Guerrero Media Golf team. I'm excited to be a part of it. So there you have it. Okay. That's going to be our focus for the next 90 days. And, I think really it comes down to, in my opinion, applying all the lessons that we have learned externally, internally. It really shouldn't be a separation. Everything that we do to market our brand, market the Alumni Society event, host that event, bringing that internally and having that same lens around everything that we do. And I think what I would like to end on is the conversation that Jenny and I had yesterday with a woman named Gina Lamb, who attended our event. And she basically said to me, and I think this applies to what we're trying to do, if you treat something with care, if you treat something as it is special, that's what you'll get. And that's really what we're going to be focused on this quarter intentionally. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for making this time in the day. Thank you for all the hard work that you do. We appreciate it. Have a great day today. Thanks.